Yeah, what's good? What's good? The podcast will start in a little while, so be on the wait. Be on the wait. I just started early to try to get more people here first. So just wait up. So the podcast will start. Decided to do it live on YouTube for the first time. The way it's gonna work is I'm gonna interview the person, and then after that, at the end of it, we're gonna do a question and answer with the chat, and anybody that super chats gets to gets to ask a question to the guest. So that's how we're gonna do it. So this is the first time we do a podcast live on YouTube, live. So y'all gonna be waiting, and like I said, if y'all got questions, be sure to ask after the interview is finished. And if you want your question to be asked, please super chat, and your question will be asked live on the Fighting GM channel, the only high level lead Chalon channel on YouTube that's over the moon. You heard? So, yep. So, y'all gonna be waiting. There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna come through. You a high musician, but I'm a high Tekken player. You know why? Because I've been up to the sky. You heard? So, remember that. All right? Big Blue, the only thing blue is your meat, because you ain't get cheeks tonight, you heard? Stay solid, you heard? But yeah, man, that's how we doing it. You heard? So be on the lookout. And remember, G to the M to the fizzle, dizzle my nizzle, and I be dizzle. And if you don't like it, that's too bad, you heard? That's how we do it. We froggy up in here, YouTube. You heard? All 13, 12 of you dudes in here, you heard? Keep it solid. Alright? Yeah, what's good? We about to start in a minute. My man, get your swag up, Big Blue. That's not how you say it, you heard? That's not even a rant. I'm just talking. Get your swag up. Alright? Because you definitely don't have the swag. And you don't have the joint to say the swag, you heard? Get your swag up. Get your damn swag up, Big Blue. Alright? Oh, you see me, Diego Brando? Like I said, we doing a live interview in a minute. We waiting for the guest. He's been taking a long time. So we gotta wait for the guest. And once the guest comes through, then we gonna get the interview going. So y'all got any questions for me before this joint starts? So y'all gonna have to ask me some questions, man. Ask me some questions. This is the first time y'all get to talk to GM Fizzle before the whole engagement party starts. You heard? So yeah, man. Ask me some questions, man. This is your perfect chance to ask me a damn question. Ask me a question, man. Yeah, ask me some questions, man. What y'all want to know? What y'all want to know, man? Y'all should have read the title, man. But yeah, man, ask me some questions, man. What questions you got? Or y'all need to tell me. Why did I choose Lee? Because Lee Chalon gets it in. Is A to the Izzo, D to the Izzy. Shizzle my nizzle, I been down for the dizzle. That's why. That's why I play it. You heard? What's my favorite game? Dave the Diver. Alright. GM, how do I get my Lee swag up? By switching characters, you heard? Would you recommend Stellar Blade? I'll flush that game, to be real with you. So I can't really recommend it if I flushed it. How you liking Switch 2, the best console in the world right now? If you don't got one, you losing out, especially if you're a Nintendo fan. You heard? Get that Nintendo Switch 2, and you could just be just like GM Fizzle. Dizzle my nizzle, shizzle my dizzle. Alright? Dead ass. So yeah, guys, it's gonna be a great interview. My name is Fine GM. You already know what's my name. I'm one of the true killers of Tekken. And yeah, man, I hope everybody has a good time coming in through and showing some love. Thoughts on upcoming games? What stood out? I'm waiting for Nintendo Switch games, so I'm gonna wait till the Nintendo Direct happens, and then from there I'll tell you. Is Brian fair? No, he isn't. He's broken. Brian Fury is a broken character, so no, he's not fair. The only fair character in Tekken 8 is Lee Chalan, and you know why? It's because he's ass. No, because that's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. I have no interest in that, brother. All right, so he's ready now. Time for the interview. Let's get this shit popping. All right, let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. Wait, let me go to the Discord. All right. So he's ready. Let's get it. All right. Let me see. Do a voice call.
Good sir.
Yo.
Looks like we're in there.
You hear me?
Yeah, man, you sound great.
All right, cool. So, so I'm live now, but before we start, there's a couple of things I want to say. All right, if it's cool.
Ready.
All right, cool. So basically, it's gonna be pretty much basic. I'm gonna just ask you, how you when you started playing Tekken. I'm gonna ask you different questions about Lee Chalan and all the different Tekken games you played, and all that stuff since you played Lee for a long time or whatnot. So yeah, so basically it's just gonna be like that. I'll try not to make it too long. And yeah, man, it should be cool, man. It's gonna be straightforward. All right, cool. So I'm gonna put my camera ready. Let me put my camera. Let me see if I could put the camera on deck. Turn on camera. Let's see if you can see me. Okay, cool. You can see me. Let me see. Okay, my camera should work. Okay. Yeah, I can see you. Yeah. So I might just, what I might do is I might not even have my camera up, because for some reason when I try to do the camera on Discord, it doesn't work for some reason. It doesn't. You see, it's not even showing up. But I think it's because I'm using OBS right now. My camera's up on OBS. That's why. So, all right. So I'll be streaming it on YouTube, so the audience can see me, but you won't be able to see me. Does that make sense? Because I'm doing OBS and it's not gonna be able to catch both cameras. So, all right. Okay. Let me fix this quick. And I'm gonna press record in a little bit. All right, cool. See, okay, it shows you. Let me just cancel my camera thing because it's not even showing up. All right, camera. Let me see. Can y'all can? Okay, they can see you now. Okay. It seems like your camera's going like in and out for some reason. It's weird. Let me see. Yeah, that's probably what it is. All right. You can't hear the guy because the interview hasn't started yet, so you're gonna have to. Everybody, relax. Relax. Yeah, it's not started yet. All right. Let me. Okay, good. That's better. Okay, cool. Let me see how I'm gonna do this. Mm, yeah, I'm trying to. Is there a way I can make this thing bigger? Oh yeah, I could. All right, cool, cool, cool. Like that. All right, cool. This is better like that. All right, cool. That works. Y'all on YouTube, y'all can see me, right? Y'all can see my image. Okay, that's better. There you go. This is better. By side, boys. Yep, this is the best way to do it. And put full screen. All right, that's dope. All right, so we're gonna start in a few minutes. Give me a second. Chat. Let me see. Let me know if you can see him. Okay, it's up. Okay. All right, cool. What's good, everybody? This is the one and only GM, and today we got a special podcast, the Meets Out Cafe. We in here. We started this again since a lot of people are telling people like, "Yo, we need to do this podcast again," and the community got bigger. So I figured I'll do this podcast. Today's guest, y'all might not know who he is, but he's a long time League player. He's been playing League since I think like Tekken Tag 1, Tekken 4. That's how long he's been playing League. And he's one of the people that inspired me to play League. When I started playing League, he was already established figure in the community. He was one of the inventors of a lot of League setups and League tech traps. And a lot of the League meta was undiscovered, and he was one of the first people to show all kinds of League setups. And he also was the person that taught me frame data. I didn't know frame data, and I asked him how. It was back in Tekken 5. I was asking him, how can I read frames, and he explained everything to me, and he even explained how to do Korean backdash cancel. So I learned a lot from him. His username, he goes by ltrav2k. He also goes by Lee Van Dam now. And yeah, just let everybody know who you are, brother.
I don't know if I can do a better job than you, son. But my name's Travis Scott, and I started off as ltrav2k, and I was playing a lot of games, and then fell in love with Tekken. I started playing League, like you said, in 1999 with Tekken Tag 1 Arcade. And I was really blessed on college campus to have Tekken Tag 1 there. Lee looked like future Trunks. That's why I picked him up. And it's been love ever since. And so, yeah, I've been playing him since Tekken Tag 1 Arcade. I got competitive with Tekken 4 and Tekken Tag on PS2. And he was traveling ever since, having a great time. And, I'm so proud of you, sir, because you've been doing such great things with Lee, and it's been really amazing to watch. And I know those are a lot of nights we had on AOL Instant Messenger getting that stuff done, but it's worked out really well.
Yeah, man, it's not like a lot of like honestly, bro. Cause back then when I played Tekken before, um, in New York it was rough. Like people weren't trying to teach nobody anything how to get good at Tekken. Cause to them, if a newcomer got good at Tekken, that meant they wasn't gonna be able to play as much an arcade machine, and they
Yeah.
had a competitor for that arcade pot for the tournaments, you know. So people
Yeah.
out here
Yeah.
were vicious over here. So like for somebody like me, the only help that I would get is literally from the forums, which is why I was always on the forums asking questions, because nobody over here was trying to help anybody, and
Right.
also nobody played Lee back then. Like Lee was
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
niche
Mm-hmm.
in Tekken 5. And Tekken 4 he was mad popular. Everybody played him because he was cheap as hell with the sidestep 2 1 2 4
It
adjust
was.
frame.
Yo.
So everybody played him. And
Mm-hmm.
I got interested in Lee after one of my friends used to play in arcade. I used to go to like a video store and they used to have Tekken 4. And he played Lee.
Oh, okay.
And I thought Lee was
Yeah.
cool. And then I went on Saibatsu and I saw you on it, and you was mad helpful. You used to answer everybody's questions. You had mass setups, and I was like, bro, this guy's so cool. He knows everything about Lee, and nobody plays his character. So I was gonna ask, what was the first Tekken game you played competitively?
It would be Tekken 4. I played Tekken 4 competitively outside of a couple of Tekken Tag 1 like arcade tournaments, but those were very local. I didn't actually start traveling until Tekken 4. And so that's when I left the state to start playing in tournaments at Tekken 4. But yeah. Um, so that would be when traveling really I hit the ground running then. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I got a question too. How was the tournament scene in Tekken 4? Because when I came in, I was still a little kid in Tekken 4. I was like maybe like 13 or 12 or something, and I played some of the New York
Yeah.
elites, and like
Yeah.
they would tell me all types of top players. They would tell me about Jim Master, Orario,
Right. Right.
Jop. I also heard of
Yep.
Clint, all the Atlanta
Yeah.
people. So I heard about all
Right.
types of things. So I was wondering, how was the scene for Tekken 4?
So the scene was very vibrant, but it was really grassroots. So tournaments were happening through the forums, just like you said. Everybody was just driving if they could. So, you were packing cars to get to a tournament because you wanted to split up the gas money, split up the hotel. So, everybody was hoboing it out. It was really amazing because when you got there, you'd go to the tournament, then everybody would go to dinner, and people would just have a good time. You'd be competitive, you talk your trash. Whatever happens at the tournament stays at the tournament, and everybody became friends the more you saw each other at tournaments. And so it was a really good vibe. I was really blessed. I didn't really meet Job and a lot of the people on the West Coast until Tekken 5. But I remember I met Clint the first time playing Tekken 4 in South Carolina. And, he didn't know me from Adam. And so when I played him and I almost beat him, he was like, oh, okay. He was like, you didn't really come close. I just let you because it's Clint. Clint's not going to give you, he's not going to give you any credit unless you actually get it done. But it was fun because after that, I was on the radar for him, and it kind of I grew into ATL because I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of Atlanta, and so whenever I had to play Atlanta, I had to go travel there, or I was traveling 2.5 hours down to Savannah. Those were the two big hubs in Georgia for playing fighting games. And so it was really neat back then. Very, very neat. Community was a big thing, and if you got in, well, you saw that once you got in. Once you get in, with folks you get in, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it was like that because when I started playing, I met a lot of the New York people, and that's when I learned about tournaments. I ain't start entering tournaments at Tekken 5, but there was a lot of players like Blood Red and Realist and all of them that would tell me about so much about Tekken tournaments. It was like there's Evos for Tekken 4. They'll tell me about all the top players, like Jin Kid and stuff like that. And then they will explain how cheap Jin was because of his Just Frame Laser Scraper and all kinds of stuff. So I learned about tournaments during Tekken 4. Like Tekken 4, that's when I learned about tournaments. And I didn't start entering till like Tekken 5. So that's why I was curious about how the Tekken 4 scene was. Because there was no online play. So the only way for you to actually meet up and play somebody was that you had to travel to play them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why I was
And
curious about how was it to like how would you level up and how was it about playing? Was it a lot of sessions happening or would you constantly have to travel to fight people?
that's a great question. So in Tekken 4, I had to travel a lot because I hadn't been invited to the Tekken house yet in Atlanta. And so I would travel to play, and I would only get to play people 2 to 3 times a year. So what I would have to do is I would have to play people and then come back to my local arcade, and then I would have to basically ask people to help me and be like, this is what I remember of this setup. And we were feeding quarters so that we could, we could iron out these setups with friends helping me. And so it was a very interesting time because, if you saw somebody again and you got your training right with the setup, it was a surprise for them too. So, back then your setups were gold. If you got somebody, that was it. But if they knew what was happening, most of the time you were going to lose because we hadn't built levels of gameplay yet. So, you got past someone's level 1, you could smoke them real quick before they could adjust back in Tekken 4, especially like with how Lee was and how Nina was. And unless you were playing Jin, so you went ahead and get that just frame laser scraper in there, you know, it was wild back then. It was really the Wild West. That game was a lot of fun. I think people appreciate it now more than they did back then because that game was a fight. You were strapping in Tekken 4, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's what I tell people too when they ask me about Tekken 4. There was no high crush, there was no low crush. So if you was eating jabs, you was eating jabs. You had to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like Steve. That's why Steve was so good because everything jailed. Everything jailed.
Right.
And there was no high crush. So if he's doing 1-2, 1-2, 1-2
Right.
and flicker, you hold him back like this. So it was
Right.
more like a
Yeah.
scrapping.
And that even the animations were different because you had 8 frame jabs back then,
Yeah.
8 frame, 9 frame, 10 frame jabs, but the jabs looked like real life jabs where your arm wasn't out there all the time. It was like bop, and then you had the recoil. So looking at that stuff when you came from Tekken 3, game was completely different because you had to get used to seeing this and you're like, oh, okay, he punched me, and get used to doing that for punishes. And they changed it back in Tekken 5 as you saw the animations change back to being more where you could see keyframes of attacks better. Because in Tekken 4, man, some of that stuff you were just like, what was going on? You didn't know, you know. So it was a very cool game, very experimental. The elevation, all that stuff. I don't know if we're ever gonna get it back.
Probably not, because everything with Tekken is just like more easier, and they trying to make everything almost the same now. So it's like back
You're
then
right.
there was a lot of character differences. Like every character played different. Certain characters had
Yes.
certain tool sets, and other characters
hmm
didn't. But now everybody got everything.
Yes, and I think players were able to be respected more because the tool set was the tool set. It wasn't getting patched. Nothing was changing. So especially when you beat another player that was playing a character that was clearly higher tier than you, it was that you were able to get mad respect back then because they knew that it was the pilot that was getting it done. Now Lee was super cheap, so that in that game, Lee didn't care about much of anything. Side 2 1 2 4 4 evaded everything. You were doing 40 plus damage just because somebody whiffed something. You would, you catch somebody launching, get in a corner, 1 2 misstep infinite, or machine gun kicks infinite. You get someone in a good situation, you're like, all right, I appreciate you. You know, as long as you're not Heihachi or Jin, everything's fine.
Yeah, because Heihachi, I remember Heihachi and Paul had the down one infinite in the parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
messed up. They could chop you, hit grounded.
Yep, yep, yep. Down one infinite. You had all kind of stuff. That was back when people were still using the delayed jumping left kick because it would do the double overstun and start all kind of shenanigans. Back when Lee's knee was safe on block.
Oh yeah, and it didn't launch, right? If I remember correctly.
It didn't launch crouchers, but it was -8 on block. So if someone didn't have an 8 frame jab, you could just run up and be like, all right, let's see what's going to happen. and it did launch on counter hit. So if they were doing something, they got caught. You're like, all right, well, let's go to the wall.
How
You know,
fast?
take you over to the wall. Have a good day.
How fast was that? The knee.
14 frames.
Oh wow. Oh
Don't
yeah. Because in
because
Tekken,
he had the 14 frame because it was technically a just frame, and then the hop kick was 15 frames. So yeah, when you need somebody, it was bad. It was real bad in that joint.
that's what I'm saying too, bro. That's why I miss
Yeah.
like old school Lee. Old school Lee had like a bunch of stuff that was just to him that nobody else had. Because I remember his up 4-4, his hop kick was 14 frames in Tekken 5. And he was the only
Yep.
one with a 14 frame hop kick. So it made it mad cool.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
they took it out and made it 15 frames in all the other games, man. Like he
So
was,
then it's just a regular hop kick that looks like a knee.
yeah, man. It was so cool back then because like every time Jack would do a down forward 2, we got a full launcher. You know,
Yep.
and that's why I tell people, man. People don't know about old school Lee, man. When you think about old school Lee compared to now, it's a lot of big differences, man. And it kind of feels like I feel like we didn't really appreciate what we had. You know what I'm saying? Especially playing these new games.
Right.
Like our hop kick was
Yeah.
14 frames, so we could launch stuff that was minus 14. We had back four that launched normal duckers. You know, so we had a lot of really good stuff that will check people. You know, and another
Yeah.
thing too. Remember, Hitman stands auto block highs and mids.
It did. It auto block highs and mids, and then we could low parry lows out of Hitman stance, or we could do quarter circle back and just block lows all the time to immediately get out of it. It was, man, it was such a good time back then. It was such a good time. And then in Tekken 5, Hitman 4 was a tech catch. So if they tech rolled, Hitman 4 was a tech catch. And then we got the full combo off of full crouch jab, crouch cancel, take them to the wall. Everything about Lee was like, let's get you over to the hotel room and check in. And then you're not getting off the wall. And man,
That's the thing
such
too.
a good time.
That's the thing too,
Yeah.
man. Like in Tekken 5, Lee was considered like real bad in Tekken 5, but you was able to come up with so many different tech traps that changed people's minds a little bit. It made him competitive. Like the Hitman 4 tech trap when they tech roll, that did a lot of damage. That was cheap. And then
It did.
another thing that I remember that you did also is like instead of doing a 4-3-4 on the wall, you used to do Hitman 1-1-1-1 on the wall.
That's right. Yep.
And I think
I did a lot of damage.
I think the Hitman 4 was guaranteed after that, right? Was that the tech trap, the Hitman 1-1-1-1 and then Hitman 4?
Yeah, so you could do the 1-1-1-1 and then Hitman 4 as a tech trap. Or if you just wanted to catch them mashing, when you got to the wall, you could do the back 1-1 into Hitman, and then the 4 would still tech trap. So there was a lot of ways where you could catch them slipping, and then the way that tech trap, it would set you up to wall carry to another wall. And then you got the infamous one where you were also doing it the same week I was, which I thought was great, where the machine gun kicks and then the jump over.
Oh yeah.
Because I know I hit it for the first time in the tournament in Atlanta, and then I saw that you hit it like in that same week. And I was like, all right, here we go. And then the infinite kits didn't knock down. It was just it was mad damage.
Yeah,
and so
man.
Tekken 5, I tell people that, yeah, Lee was bad in comparison to other characters, but the game was so cheap. Everybody was so cheap that it was like, if you got your stuff off first, the other character may not have enough life to do anything about it.
Yeah,
Unless they have
exactly.
an infinite, like Steve. You're just like, oh, I got a life lead of 75%. We'll just chill on out and finish this round out.
Honestly, when I think about it, man, I think 5.0 Lee was actually pretty good. When you really think about it, man, like I know he had no tracking. I know all his lows were launch punishable. Like I know that stuff.
Sure.
There was no homing moves, so we couldn't just do 1+2 all day. But like blazing kick high crushing was crazy when you think about it.
Blazing kick high crushing was crazy. We still had our 8-frame jab at that point. We hadn't lost it yet. So we were punishing stuff that people couldn't punish.
A 14-frame hop
Machine
kick.
gun kick. Yep, the 14-frame hop kick. We were the only one with that 4+4 kick. That was 10 frames instead of 11 back then. So we were popping people's faces back real quick.
Yeah,
You know, it
the
didn't do
slap
anything
kick.
else,
Yeah.
but we would just slapping them in the face. We were the only ones with the guard break with the mistrap throw,
Oh,
and until people got used to that, that was almost 40 damage, and they woke up back turn. All his throws put people in back turn, so if they woke up wrong, we did like laser edge combo or 1-2-4-4 or run ups down one, infinite kicks in the back. Like it was just there was so much stuff that if Tekken 5 Lee was in Tekken 8, Tekken 5 Lee would just be like, well, this is easy. I don't understand why you're losing. I don't get it.
yeah,
You
cause
know,
he
I'll
like
just I'll just do half life of anything.
I remember
Sure.
too. You was able to
Mm-hmm.
it was hard to do, but you could run up and blazing kick somebody in the back if they back row. That little
Yep.
sweaty though. That was a little sweaty. It's a little hard to do, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's the thing
And
too,
remember
man.
the yeah,
Like old school Tekken, man. It like if you got up wrong, you died. Like you could not get up
yes.
wrong. Like you get up kick that is launch punishable. Spring kick was launch punishable. If you
Yep.
back roll wrong, your whole back comes off.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you just hold
Yep.
back and get up. It's so scrubby now. You just mash a get up kick or a
Yep.
spring kick. So people don't understand
Yep.
how hard it was to get up back then. Like it took a lot more
Right.
like thinking, you know, because of all the setups
Right.
you could do in it, and then it added more
Mm-hmm.
variety to mind games and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then we always had setups up for anything that had a screw kick. So back then, you hit somebody with either lead screw left, lead screw right, back four, 1-2, 1-2, 2-3, all that stuff. They were waking up back turn. You were just running up on them with the worst Oki in the world. It was a terrible scene. They back roll and you could just slide and start over again because they're back turned the other way. It was the game was savage, and I understand why people would quit because they felt like they couldn't play the game. I
Yeah.
completely understand. So
Yeah, because you die in that game. Off of like I remember 5.0. I used to get mad playing that. Like I just fighting this Steve sidestep one time, I die. Nina launched me
yeah,
one
yeah, you
time.
just can't. Yeah,
I get put in the
yeah,
Oki. Um,
yeah. You just did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah, so like you die off of anything. Ganru launched you one time, 1+2. Brian. So that game was really, really, really dirty. But it was fun for the
Yeah,
time, and plus, you know, it
it was.
taught you how to play Tekken. You know, you needed footsies, you
Yeah.
needed to learn how to backdash, you need to learn your frames too. So there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things. Something else I want to ask you too, since you played
Sure.
for Lee a long time, I want to ask you, what do you think about Lee's progression as a character? What I mean by that is how much he's changed throughout every game. Because as a Lee player that's been playing since Tekken 5, I feel like he's changed a lot, man. There are a lot,
Yes.
and they kind of. I feel like Namco doesn't know, like, really understand Lee too much to the point that they kind of like trying to force us to play certain ways. Like they're not really sure what type of
Mm-hmm.
character they want to make him. That's how I feel.
I I agree with you. So it's interesting if you think about how many times Lee's moves have changed since Tekken Tag 1, because that's when he got his overhaul
Yeah.
and he got his new move list. All right. So we can even look at a case study of one move in general, forward plus both kicks.
Yes.
So that started off as the high stinger. So it hit high, super safe on block. You could land ducking, but it knocked down for like 35, 40 damage. Real gross. So then in Tekken 5, that one becomes mid. It's like, I think it's like minus 13, minus 14, but same deal. Then in Tekken 5 DR, that move's gone and it's replaced with the Van Damme split kick that goes into Hitman. That gave us like +8 or something like that, but we were forced to go into Hitman. Now it's gone in Tekken 6 and it turns into the flip. You know, so I agree with you. It seems like they're trying to figure out some stuff with Lee, and they're trying to fit him in the game because I think that basically would still be too good for most of these games because of what they're moving towards. Because the keep out tool of back four, we know that's really good. We know that Hitman has lost a lot of evasion just from the stance alone because it wasn't anything for us to have fake Oki in Tekken 5 where you'd run up, back four into Hitman with that, and you'd be out of range for get up kicks for free Hitman 2s. That was a fun time back then.
Word.
So they've been adjusting a lot of stuff where Lee just doesn't do what they originally built him to do. And I know that they're afraid of him having that back because the game would no longer be fun for a lot of characters. When we could just go into Hitman and lean back and the jab would miss, that stuff was fun. When our misstep sway would actually avoid things and we wouldn't have to attack at all, we would just get out of there. That stuff was great. Um, so I agree with you, and I don't think they know how to. I don't think they know how to fix him, and I know they, based on how the game's going, they don't want poking to be too strong because poking when you're watching it on esports is pretty boring.
Yeah.
If you're not a high level Tekken player, it's pretty boring to watch somebody get poked to death. If you're a high level Tekken player, it's fun to watch somebody get poked to death because you're like, man, that cat gets wrong 11 times in a row.
Yeah, word.
And you're like, this is crazy. This man was a genius.
Yeah.
He was literally just eating him up for a whole 20 seconds. So I understand for the audience, they're trying to reach the direction the game's going. I think there are things they can do with Lee to fit him in better, but they're going to have to adjust his move list a little bit more to make that happen.
Yeah, I agree. Because, like, I give an example. Like, Tekken DR Lee, all the way to from Tekken DR to Tekken 6, that in general, that was a big change for Lee. But if you remember, in Tekken 5, he had down 4-1 plus frames, right? 14 frame hop kick, back 4 launching duckers, and words. So he had all of that. And then we go into Tekken 6, right? All down forward ones are universally minus on block now. And then they universally make all jabs 10 frames. And then they also, his hop kick becomes 15 frames. Back 4 back 4 doesn't launch duckers no more. Almost all his primary tools, they made them more unsafe. Like 1-2-2 used to be safe in Tekken 5. They made that unsafe, minus 12, I believe 13. 2-2 was safe. They also made that unsafe. They took out auto block from Hitman. Hitman 2 also became unsafe because Hitman 2 was safe in Tekken 5. You could use it as a high crush, and you could use it as spacing. You could do Hitman 2 backdash because it had pushback, and then that. So they nerfed a lot of his primary tools in Tekken 5 and Tekken 6. I mean, and they made him like a straight up like counter hit character. Like straight, that's how he got most of his damage, was straight counter hits. So it was kind of like the same type of gameplay, because in Tekken 5, you could just fish for counter hits with Lee all day. He had 11 frame magic 4, 4-4-4 still high crushed. And Tekken DR down 3 into Hitman 4 was free on counter hit. Silvertail on counter hit, you remember it did the little side thing, you get a free slide if you're fast enough. So that's what I'm saying too, because a lot of these new cats, bro, they complain about a lot of Lee's tools that he's had forever. And they be like, and Lee's had these tools in games he wasn't even considered that good in. So it's like, to me, it's crazy. I want to ask you what you feel about, like, people complain about moves like down 2 and 4-4-4 and back 4.
So back 4 is a really interesting one because it's been around for now 20 years.
Yeah.
If you don't know how back 4 works, then you just have to get used to it. Like, a lot of Lee's tools are honestly tools that if you've played Tekken a long time, then you better understand how to deal with it. Because Lee is a knowledge check.
Yeah.
He's 100% a knowledge check. But he definitely is one of those characters where if you haven't played Tekken a lot, you're not going to know what's going on, and you just need to play more Tekken. Because Lee 100% depends on the player in order for him to do well. Like, the better the player is at playing the game of Tekken, you'll notice that Lee functions better as a character because he's the purest Tekken character besides Paul they have. Like, he doesn't have something crazy that's just straight up, I got to watch out for this. You end up having to watch out for his poking. The player has to be good at frame data so he can punish. The player has to be good at recognizing whiff punishing. The player has to have crafted setups because the game doesn't have any setups for Lee.
Yeah.
There's no real canned setups that Lee has. You know, the closest thing that you can do is forward and both kicks to be in full crouch with plus frames, and then both the slide and while standing two are different speeds, so they don't really scare you like that. While standing two comes out like 6 frames faster than the slide, so you're just kind of waiting to see which one's gonna happen. Unless somebody does infinite kicks, and if they do infinite kicks, they lose their turn. So infinite kicks on block, you can go into hitman and maybe be safe. So Lee's great because if you win with Lee, you always feel good because the game did not give you anything.
Yeah, that's why I try to tell
that
people.
You earned it.
Yeah, because
So
there's actually people that think Lee robs characters. They think like people lose a Lee, be like he's cheap. We got robbed by him. People. This is what some big content creators say about Lee too, which is crazy. They say that Lee should not have the evasion if that he has, like his crushing. They think him having his crushing is unfair, and that no character should have that. So that's why, like you see in season 2 of Tekken, they nerfed down 2, doesn't high crush anymore, and also 444 doesn't instant high crush neither. Like it high crushes, but you could get stuffed out. You have to be careful. Like sometimes it trades with moves. So people was like those nerfs were warranted because Lee shouldn't have something like that, which to me is kind of crazy because he's had that forever.
He has. He used to the 444 was from a lore position was given to him because he got tired of eating electrics.
Oh wow!
So he developed he developed 444 so he could duck electrics, which is what we were doing in Tekken 5.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that. That makes sense though. That makes sense because he hate Kazuya. They probably was, when he fight them, blah,
Yeah, and so he started popping him in the face. He's like, I'm tired of this, and so it goes under so many moves because he was like, I'm tired of just standing up. If they don't like this evasion, I would really be scared of what they say about Ling or what they say about Leo's stance if they're worried about Lee's evasion, because Lee's evasion is nothing compared to them.
Yeah,
at all.
They avoid everything. I wonder what they will think about old school Lei Wulong, bro. Or that ha step and lay down and everything. Like you can even hit him sometimes.
Yeah, he's a ghost. Like he's not even there. So, I think that I don't think that they understand how these characters need this evasion because the exchange it used to be the exchange was damage output was not as high. So you had the evasion because you were going to have multiple interactions more than a regular character for you to win.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that evasion was necessary. Now I've seen Ling pumping out like 80 damage. I'm like, all right, girl. I don't understand why you're gonna have Art of Phoenix and do Paul damage, but that's a different story.
Yeah, and then she pops heat and you in a 50-50 vortex with hypnosis between that punch that does a full combo in heat and then that dumb fast knockdown low that's like -12 and unseeable.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand what she gave the developers for that, but I'm like, all right, girl, that's that pretty privilege right there. It's crazy.
Yeah, but, she's popular too. They probably always want because Ling's problem has always been her damage output, but it made her balance though because she was evading everything anyway. So she shouldn't be doing like Paul damage with how you can't even hit her. Like I think her damage is supposed to be like that. It balances the game. So I don't really like this whole thing that everybody does 100 damage. And everybody has this 50-50 vortex where you just gotta eat all day. At least for us Lee players, Lee still plays like a Tekken character. We still gotta poke, we still gotta space, we still gotta do counter hit damage. But of course we lost a lot of our tools. But the social media, I was gonna ask you, what you think about the whole social media aspect of the whole fighting game community? Where what people say on social media also affects balancing in the game because of how vocal people are for certain things. Certain things got get nerfed from game to game, right? So like I'll give you an example. Like Lee, right? People was complaining about Lee's slide like crazy in Tekken 7. Oh, it's too cheap, blah blah blah. So that's why in Tekken 8 they nerfed it and it doesn't knock down anymore.
Lee slide in Tekken 7?
Yeah, people said it was too cheap. So that's why if you notice in Tekken 8, his slide doesn't knock down anymore. It just hits you. If a plus frames.
I mean, I think the slide is dumb now. When I found out that it comes out in 18 frames when you just frame it, and you're gonna give me +5, the only thing I need, the only thing that I actually need though, is an enforceable mix-up. I
Yeah.
need something besides infinite kicks that you need to be scared of, so you'll sit there. But I couldn't believe they gave me +5 on a slide. I was like, this is crazy. What are you talking about? You know, all this is ruthless aggression. That's what that is. They gave Lee a bunch of frames in places that don't make sense because they
Yeah.
wanted him to be able to enforce the Tekken 8 game thing. But Lee slide was the same as Law slide. Why
Yeah.
isn't Law slide changed?
And
I
why is
don't
it
understand.
why
I'm
why is it
confused.
Shaheem slide change? Shaheem is another one.
Listen, Shaheem slide boy was always crazy. I was like, how do you just get up from sliding? You knock me down and you're in crouch when you finish.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get up. That's what Shaheen was a character where I was like, man, if Lee doesn't come back, I understand why. Because Shaheen took all the good stuff and he put that Saudi oil money to it and made it better.
I'm
That's what
done.
Shaheen did. That's why.
Yeah, because
Listen, that's why.
he got all of these tools. When you think about it, he got down two. You know, his
Got
down
4-2-1.
his down two still high crushes. He
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
oh
Four
yeah,
back.
the 2-1s that you said.
Yep, yep.
He got a, to me, honestly think Shaheem has a better down three than Lee. I think that
He
down
does.
three is safer, it tracks, and it's plus frames when
Yeah.
you go into stance.
And then stealth stance. If we had stealth stance instead of Hitman, come on.
Yeah,
Like
that cheap man. He could heat smash off of that, man. Like,
yes, yeah. And then he has an orbital kick and a hop kick. I'm like, this is crazy.
yeah, I don't
So
know.
that's why I thought, all right. When Lee came back, I was like, this is interesting because I definitely thought that he was replacing Lee when Tekken 7 first came
I
out.
thought that too.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
It's interesting you
But
say that though, because I remember when I was playing vanilla Tekken 7 in arcades, Lee wasn't
yeah,
in the arcade version, but Shaheem was. So I was
right.
just playing Shaheem because I thought he was the Lee replacement, because he had most of
Yep.
Lee's moves. He had the slide, he had the down two,
Yep.
he had a stiff
Yep.
version of Magic 4, the 4-1 that jailed. If you
Yep.
remember, that was mad
Yep.
cheap. It was like 0 on block
Yep.
or some nonsense. The
Yep.
knockdown
Yep. He said,
slide.
yep, a better while standing too, because he was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this full combo real quick.
Yeah, word.
Don't you worry.
So
Wow. I was like,
I
yeah,
was learning how to play him because I thought Lee was donezo. You know, we had to wait mad
yeah,
long till console release for them to release
right.
season 1 Lee, and then season 1 Lee was terrible. I don't know if you remember Tekken 7.0 7 the art console release of Lee. He was horrible, bro. His combos didn't work. Like,
Right.
he had like no
Yep.
combos. His combo did like 40 damage, bro. It was so bad, bro. I don't know what the hell they did to him in season 1. I think the only thing good about season 1 Lee was that acid rain 133, it wall splat.
Mm-hmm.
It splat on the wall.
Yeah.
So, but
Listen, that was crazy.
that's it though. Other than that,
Yeah.
I think people consider season 1 of Tekken 7 Lee to be like one of the worst leads in history.
I can understand that. I mean, yeah, outside of the 10 frame wall splat, which that was dumb, and I do want that back, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have anything going for him. The combo situation with Hailspin was difficult because you had to instant while standing 2-4. And not everybody could do that. Not everybody was doing the sway cancel for that. So he was just very hard to maneuver in the game, whereas everybody else had a much easier time playing Tekken 7. So yeah, I understand that. I can see why people think he's the worst, and yeah, they're probably right. Yes. Yeah, objectively, they're probably right. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask you a couple of more questions.
Sure.
How did you feel about Tekken 7 Lee as a whole? I feel like the way he was in that game, like, yeah, he refrained his setups, but I felt like in general he didn't really have any real setups in that game. There wasn't a lot to play with. Like, his frames are kind of weird in that game. Like, you see, like in Tekken 6, we had a lot to play with. We had a lot of minus frame setups that we could set up counter hits. Tekken 5, we had a lot of different setups. And Tekken 7, he basically was just down forward 1, a magic 4-2-2-3 or high crush, or back 4, and a setup and slide. That's it. He didn't really have much besides that. I felt like he was really limited in a game that kind of forced you to be like more 50-50 heavy with him because he didn't have a lot of sauce. So I want to know what you feel, because that's how I felt about playing him. That's why in that game I prefer playing Geese, because Geese could do more. You know, Like he has way
Right.
more setups. Like
Yeah.
Lee was so like kind of just straightforward. I found him really boring in Tekken 7.
I can understand that. Setting up counter hits in Tekken 7 with Lee was it was a battle of attrition because what basically happened is you had to show something a few times and then change it to get the counter hit set up because like you said he didn't have any like canned ones in the game where they were just ready for you.
Yeah.
So you were running up and you're doing down forward one and then nothing. Then you're going up and doing down forward one into something else. And you had to get people visually trained to look for things. So then by the time the end of the second round or the third round comes around, your actual setup will work. He was definitely a character where you had to show a little bit of your hand and then hit them with the goofy later. Like after you train them to be like, oh, okay, nothing's happening after this, then you hit them with the razzle dazzle,
Yeah.
and that only works so often because after you've seen it enough, all you got to do is wait it out, and then the razzle dazzle doesn't work as long as the player is willing to be patient and sit and just take lows. It was really hard for Lee to do anything about that. You know, one of his biggest weaknesses has been my mids are amazing, but I cannot get you to duck. That's been one of those things that he has, which is partly why he has the mistrap throw. I can't get you to duck, so they gave me a way to if I catch you sleep at the wheel blocking, I can go ahead and still get some damage with this guard break.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great vision on their part, but they have to make sure that we have legitimate reasons for people to want to duck. So consequently, I think in Tekken 8, the just frame slide is a legitimate reason for people to want to duck because it is very fast and it can catch people slipping. You're not really preparing for the just frame slide. You're kind of guessing because especially at the range that you and I like to throw it at,
Yeah.
you could get hit with 443 real quick.
Yeah.
At that same range. So I appreciated that when I started playing Tekken 8. I was like, oh, okay. But he still has the same issue. And so when they took away the damage on back 3-3, which I thought was a legitimate reason to get people to duck, because you could run up on them and then either do back 3-3 or 4-2-1. And after you take him back 3-3 6 times, you're like, listen, I gotta start ducking this.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then he's like, all right, let me go ahead and let me catch you with this mid real quick. And then you're like, dang. And then I'm gonna finish the round out with back 3-3 again, and just irritate you because that's what Lee does. He mentally breaks you down and he makes you upset at the game because you get hit with the stupid stuff, but the stupid stuff after 10 times kills you. Which,
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I think people hate Lee because he's an annoying character. He's not necessarily cheap, but people get mentally brain rotted by him because he's annoying. Because my main issue with Tekken 8 Lee is this, and it's more like it's a combination of him and the people that play against him, is that nobody's scared of anything anymore. People will mash all day. Right. People will guess the whole game. They don't care if they eat 80 mids. They'll just keep, you know what I'm saying, hop kick. Like, they don't really care. So the thing was, like, what they increased the life bar, right? And since they increased the life bar, people do not respect pokes. They don't respect nothing. Right. I could hit you with slide 80 times, and you're not gonna care. You just gonna be like, I could hit you with 80 mids, and there's a match that I played a dude, and I hit him with 1+2 5 times in a row. He just kept ducking. He didn't even care. He just kept ducking. Cause it makes sense though, cause like I hit you with 1+2 5 times, and then if I happen to do that back 3-3 or slide one time and you duck it, I'm eating a full combo. Like the game is so dumb.
The life bars are easy. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
The game is so dumb.
I think that they're gonna have to do like they did in Tekken Tag 2, and they're gonna have to make grounded hits do extra damage. Like when you're on the ground, in Tekken Tag 2, I think you do 20% more damage if you're in stand up, and so juggles do less damage because they're doing regular prorated damage, and grounded hits do less damage. But when you eat a poke in Tekken Tag 2, it hurts. When you eat a poke while in rage in Tekken Tag 2, it really hurts. And it forces people to make decisions because they can't take that. And I think Tekken 8 needs that. Like in Heat, something's got to happen because I think the concept of poking characters are we should be able to chip away at you when in heat, because that's going to be one of our win conditions.
Yeah.
Is we can poke you to death after you have a lot of like white life, and then the pokes matter because you got to heal up to not die. And this game takes it away from us by lowering our chip damage. So now, like you said, why do I need to respect your poke when I can just, especially me, I love to power crush people. I can eventually power crush you, and then it's my turn. And if I had a character that wasn't Lee, I could steamroll you after I power crush you. And what are you really going to do about it if you eat that mix up one time? Then your life bar is gone. Now you're trying to play not to lose, and the game's over at that point. So I do think they're going to have to still retool things more, and I hope they bring the chip damage back, because I think that was going to be very important for not only Lee but like Nina and other characters where they're designed to not win with big juggles or big moves. Because that's the mind game is like, my life's not really there right now because this person's poking me to death. I gotta do something to stop them from poking me to death.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing too that I was gonna say about Tekken 8 Lee. Like, how they buff 442 just frame, like made it faster. They just gave us a bunch of plus frame stuff. Even in Heat, right? We got more plus frames.
Right.
The thing with Lee is that unlike other characters, when Lee starts to try to casino you, right? He loses his turn off of one interaction. He'll do 442 just frame, and after that, what you gonna do? A down 4-1, a down 4-4, or you might go low. And if you do like a low, like back 3 through a down back 3+4, then your turn will continue. Right. But it's usually like just like one interaction, and then it leads back to It's not like eating a casino from Huaran. Once Huaran gets started, he's on you the whole game. Or Victor. Once Victor gets started, he's in your face. Lydia, once she gets started, you pretty much done. So that's one of the issues I have with them making Lee trying to casino. Like, even if they trying to make him casino, he's not built like that. He's supposed to be like, I'm gonna hit you, I'm gonna annoy you, and they're gonna press a button wrong, and then I'm gonna counter hit you. But now it's like the health bar is so big, they nerfed his crushing. It's so hard to play a counter hit game with Lee now, man. That everything is homing.
I agree.
Everything is like plus 20. So I can't even swing. I can't even 2-2-3 you back if I wanted to, because you plus 15.
Right.
And I can't even sidestep you neither, because it homes. So I'm like this. I'm like this waiting. Like,
and you can tell that the game was designed to be this way because they had our power crush be a heat engager on purpose so we could take our turn.
Yeah, exactly.
When we were supposed to fish for counter hits, or we were going to take our turn with the power crush on purpose. They had defensive characters laid out in a decent fashion by doing that, because that made sense that they would get a heat engager on defense.
Yeah.
But now we don't even get a heat engager on defense. So, what are we really doing? Because we don't get to refill our life. We don't get the other opportunity while we're in heat, if we get on the defensive again, where we get to do a heat dash to get out of trouble off of the power crush. I think that there's a lot of stuff they're going to have to revert back as they continue to plot their course of how they want the game to go, because I could see the vision in season 1 of exactly how they wanted characters to be. And now they're doing a lot of like reactive changes where they're not looking at the characters long term anymore. So you're seeing stuff kind of break down because we have less options than we did in season 1 based off of the changes they're making. And like you said, a lot of the stuff, it just doesn't make sense. We don't need a mock breaker. We have one now. We can just be Brian Fury. It's fine, but we didn't need a mock breaker.
Yeah.
So, we need everybody else to not have, better guard breaks than us if ours is going to be a cardinal move. Going to, give us a just frame and it does less damage, and we don't get Oki, and it's easy to duck. It's like,
oh my
you
God,
can't.
Yeah.
So, there's just a lot of stuff that they keep whittling down on us, and a lot of people don't play Lee, so we can't even voice our opinion
but
that
stuff
loudly.
Stuff like this is good though, because people will watch it and they'll spread awareness and stuff as we discuss the Lee things. A lot of the stuff you said got me thinking, right? Because I never thought like the stuff you said, it makes sense. Because I'm be real, a lot of the system changes that they have made from season 1 to now for Tekken 8
Hmm.
has affected Lee as a character, but I understand
Hmm.
why they doing it to try to make the game more balanced. But like you said, like like Asu Senna being able to power crush, just mash power crush punch parry and go into heat and get
Hmm.
a full combo, or Victor just spamming back 1+2 into full
Hmm.
combo armor move. That was mad cheap, but it also affected Lee because Lee's sidestep is not good. His sidestep is
Right.
buggy. So back
Right.
3+4 was literally the only way he really had to get you, like,
Hmm.
get away from me. Like, but
Hmm.
I don't know if you can agree with me on this, but I think like power crush heat engagers should only be to specific characters, like specific characters that
Yes.
play that play style of, like, counter hit fishing. Like Lee having something like that benefits him. Like it fits his style of character. So I
Right.
kind of wish that Tekken was more like old school Tekken, where specific characters had specific tools and other characters
Hmm.
didn't. Like they were unique,
Right.
So
Hmm.
a lot of the system changes did affect Lee. Like his power crush not going into heat, that affects him. Now he doesn't really have something to get off of me and then start offense.
Hmm.
The nerf on chip damage also affected him too, because he's a poke
Hmm.
character, and Lee in general is not good at opening somebody up
Right.
to stop playing defensive. At least when the chip
Hmm.
damage is cheap, he could do running 3-4, 4-4-2, just
Yep.
frames, and get you to start swinging. Because that's how I play season 1 Tekken Lee. I just did mad chip
Yeah.
damage on you to the point that he was like, I don't want to eat chip. I'm gonna start swinging, and then start counter hit you. Because like to me, the way Lee
Exactly.
is like his archetype is not a 50-50. He doesn't benefit from just going ham on you and trying to slide mix up low mid low
Right.
mid. He don't benefit from that because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, it's risky. Launch punish where you could get sidewalked.
Hmm.
He benefits more from getting counter hit damage. That's how he gets his damage. So I was
Right.
always I'm not a 50-50 type player. I'm not. I don't like my style just trying to get you to swing back, like annoy you so you could swing back and then I counter hit you.
Hmm.
But now they trying to force
Right.
us to play a play style that doesn't benefit Lee. But Lee doesn't benefit from you guessing wrong 100 times. He don't.
Right.
He benefits from you swinging wrong and eating that 4-4-4 or that back four,
Hmm.
and then we get our damage. So I
Hmm.
don't like the way they changing stuff, making everybody the same
Yeah.
way. And I feel like certain stuff to certain characters, like Lee, he needs evasion. That's just how he is. He doesn't need 50-50s. He doesn't need 100+ frames. Just let him be
Hmm.
able to kill you or to mess you up for pressing buttons wrong. That's what Lee is, and that's all I asked about Lee. So I was gonna ask you the last question was how do you feel about Tekken 8 Lee in general, and what do you think about the way they changing him as a character? Like you play Lee for a long time, he's changed a lot. Tekken
Yeah.
7, the Tekken
He
8.
has. Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
do you feel like, because a lot of people think Lee's problem is that they need to revert him back to season 1 Lee, right?
Okay.
I This stuff about season 1 Lee after playing season 2 was really good. Like his crushes was really good. Lee without heat was amazing. He was really good without heat. Like he was like a great
Hmm.
Tekken character. The issue with season 1
Hmm.
Lee is that he had no heat. Like he had nothing in
Hmm.
heat pretty much. He basically was doing the same stuff out of heat, inside of heat. Now in season
Hmm.
2, they gave him stuff in heat but nerfed everything else.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
like this, right? So I'm wondering what you think they can do to make him like good again, or like how you feel about the changes of him and how he plays in Tekken 8, and
Okay.
also what advice would you give for people that are wanting to learn Lee and all that stuff? Yeah, word.
Okay. So I 100% agree with you with the game plan you have for playing Lee based off of Tekken 8. Lee was clearly built in Tekken 8 to be able to pile on chip damage because that was going to be if I can't get you to duck, then the chip damage is going to cause you to have to change your play style, or I'll still be able to sneak a poke in there and win. So I think that was exactly how they expected Lee to play. And they expected you to get your turn back with the power crush if you got overwhelmed. Between that and the parry, they're like, Lee has enough defensive tools to get this done. So I think they're going to have to rethink what they do for the defensive characters, their power crushes, to give them some kind of benefit. Either they're going to have them heal some life whenever they guess right, because even if they don't want to make them heat engagers, you can have them heal a little bit of life when they do a power crush. and make that unique to defensive based characters because that would be like Asuka, Lee. I thought Asusana was going to be more defensive, but that running attack is just ridiculous.
Yeah, they just made her
And
like she's like
so,
a hybrid.
right. And so, from what her power crush looked like, I assumed she was going to be more defensive and, blocking the evasion stance and then popping you in the face. So I think they're going to have to do something with defensive characters to set them apart and make it to where they can last longer in the match. Because with losing their heat engager on a power crush, it just makes it to where they have less opportunities to really use the life bar like everybody else. And so they're going to have to adjust that. Um, I do think they're still going to have to do a damage bonus to like standing characters, but Lee specifically, they're going to have to figure out something to do with Lee's just frames and heat that's that costs meter, but it helps the just frames more than regular because it's nice that we get heat back when we do a just frame correctly. That's nice, but since we don't have chip damage anymore and we don't do a lot of chip damage in heat, which is the reason you wanted to get into heat.
Yeah.
Um, we're at a loss of how the system doesn't work well for us right now with the way things are set up. I think they're going to have to give us back old while standing 2-3 because that was a game changer that caused people to really worry about things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got a chance at 100 damage.
Yeah.
Everybody else has a chance at 100 damage. That was our chance at 100 damage. While standing 2-3, heat. We're gonna do the real combo, and then we're gonna start this game because now I've got heat. I can chip you down. You got to worry about back 3-3 now. You have to worry about 1+2. You got to worry about the running move. Especially with 4-4-2 being 15 frames now, you have to worry about the stuff that forces you to do something about me chipping you out now once that combo hits. I think that he still has a terrible sidestep. So the best thing we were doing was like sidestep power crush or sidestep slide or something that got us out of the way.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to fix his movement, then they're going to have to make his attacks better suited for this game.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a viable throw out of Hitman so people will be worried about things. And I always thought that, how his heat blast looks with coming out of the low.
Yeah.
I always thought that would be something we would have gotten out of Hitman. And even if they made that a just frame to where it was an attack throw, that would have been fine too. A low attack throw, just something to make people have to duck is really what we need. Because then our mids can shine and you can get people worried about an actual 50-50. Because just like you said, we don't have a 50-50. We don't have the chip damage available. So they're going to have to give us something that makes people worry about possibilities. And you don't have to do them all the time. It's just like, it's like Street Fighter 2. Once people know you can Dragon Punch them out of the air, they have to worry about it. You may never do it again. But once they know that if you jump, you might Dragon Punch them, your game changes. Everything changes about how you approach things because, you have to respect it. I guess the things that I would do if I were to change Lee right now is I would give him the pushback on 4-4-3 again.
Yeah, that's a crazy nerf, right? He's had that pushback forever.
It was a nerf that didn't make any sense. I would also have Hitman 2 be his power crush instead of Hitman 3 because we have two high power crushes now, and it doesn't make any sense. Now, back in Tekken 7, back both kicks was mid, and it ducked highs, and it was a power crush, and it wall bounced. It was kind of dumb. I understand. I get that. But the counter to that is that the Hitman 3 was high. So both of those work well together. Us having two high power crushes really doesn't help us at all.
Yeah, because people's gonna duck anyway when they see you in Hitman, which is
right.
Lee. I don't know if you know this is a nerf too. You remember in season 1, Hitman up 4-3 used to go into heat.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and they took that out.
Yeah, I noticed that it does a lot. It does more damage now, but I didn't really need that. Like unless it did the knockdown that we used to get off of the big stinger, where it would just knock them down right in front of
A
us, and
four
they
three plus
couldn't
four,
tech
yeah.
roll. Right. And then they had to actually guess because we were ducking. So we could be like, all right, so I'm going to do slide if you're on the ground, or I'm going to do while standing three. You get to pick which way I'm going to hit you. If you don't stand up, I'll do up back three, hit you while you're grounded, and maybe that will change with the new blazing kit since we can buffer that out of crouch. Maybe that will change things a lot because us being able to block heavy sweeps and blazing kick is something we really haven't had access to.
Yeah, it's mad good. Yeah, I gotta get used to doing that too.
And,
I'm not used to doing
mhm,
that yet. I was
right.
gonna say something else too. What they want us to do mix up wise, they want us to go straight
Mhm,
into heat and use his new, because the heat smash and the new patch, they made it do more damage to low.
right.
And then of course
Right.
we have the his Tekken 7 Rage Drive, which is now a homie move in heat, down 4 3+4.
Mhm,
And we get a
right.
free blazing kick, or if you have the execution hitman up 4 3 or back three, or you could do the new
Right.
JoJo move, the down 1+2, the thing that he does like that and goes a hitman. So they
True.
kind of want us to casino like that, but those moves take a lot of heat. Like they, when you do them, it's like
Mhm.
that, and so they want us to mix up
Yeah.
with that. But like I was trying to figure out what can I do better with Lee, like mix up wise. I think those specific moves, like the knockdown low, the down 4 3+4 homie move, that's zero on block. I think that
Mhm.
stuff is only scary if your back is on the wall. Because if your back is on the wall, your opponent, they gotta guess between the
Mhm.
knockdown low and the mid homing wall splat. But in an open game, it's like kind of like whatever, right?
I agree. I've been playing around with that with those moves on the wall. Like I think I have a setup together to where the down both punches, it hits you grounded after the wall combo, and so you're able to go into Hitman while they're getting up, so you can enforce at least Hitman 4 or Hitman 2 mix up. So I'll get back to you on that because I've been working on that, and I think that might help things a lot because I don't quite understand why they gave us those moves, but all of his just frames are high. So it makes it really risky to try to refill the heat bar when you're close. You
Yeah,
know, because it would be cool if we had one just frame that wasn't. It just needs to be safe on block and it needs to be mid, so we'd have a way to work in refilling our heat bar. Because I think us going into heat as soon as possible, it made sense for the game
yeah.
because that's the only other reason they'd want us to be able to refill our heat bar is we're supposed to be doing these just frames all the time, and we're supposed to be, an expert leaf player that could do all the just frames probably should be able to stay in heat the whole match. I think that's their vision,
Yeah, but you
and
can't.
that's why our right.
Yeah, you won't be able to
So
do
I,
it because the
yeah,
moves too much heat. It gets calm when you do.
yeah,
Like I think the down one
right,
plus two move. I think that move is trash. I think it's useless because if it hits you, it don't do
okay.
nothing. And if I want to go into plus, I just go into Hitman. What the hell am I gonna do with Hitman? Hitman 4, Hitman 2 mix up? Come on now. Like I think that
And
move is
so that's
butt.
what that's where I think the opportunity is that if there was a just frame in Hitman to where you had a way to get out of Hitman and refill a little bit of heat,
Yeah,
that's the that's the place where they got to figure that out. Because even if it is a low attack throw like the Heat Blast, where we have to do it manually, if it can refill our heat bar just a little bit and get us out of Hitman in a way to where we're either safe or something or other, I think that would be a dynamic that would fix a lot of stuff.
yeah,
Because when you go into Hitman, unless you scared them to death, you don't have a whole lot going on. You might back 3-3 out of Hitman. You might Hitman 1+2, because Hitman 1+2 is always fun. It's safe. It gets us back into neutral. But there's just not a lot to worry about if they don't mind mashing,
yeah.
you know?
They give us Hitman 111
So
into heat, but that thing is hard to set up, man.
I like it, but I don't. I like it, but it's not as good as our Power Crush going into heat, and it
Yeah,
never will be.
that would be crazy. But I do agree with you. I think
Yes.
honestly, Hitman stance as of now in season 2 is very underwhelming. It's not very good.
Right.
The only thing you really gonna be doing is trying to fish for Hitman 111 to go into heat, or to get a full
Right.
combo while you in heat, or I guess try to
Mhm.
get like a Hitman 2 if you do a high. But other than that, you're not really doing much now. Like they need to give him something in Hitman so Hitman could be scary. Like maybe a 50-50 in Hitman or something, or because that's how they want the game to be. They want you to put somebody in a casino all the time. So you might as well give it a mix up, because losing Hitman up 4-3 as a heat engager and also as a combo in heat, it's a big nerf, man. Because a lot of people, when they see Lee in Hitman, their first thing to do is either cross jab, do a low, or duck. And Hitman 043, that stopped all of that and got people scared. Okay, I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to get launched.
Right.
And they took it out. And apparently, this is what they said in the patch notes. The reason why they took it out, because they said it was too hard for people to hit people with that move, which is complete nonsense. But that's what they said. They said, we took this out and it's not going into heat no more because this move was too hard for people to land, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they said in the patch notes.
But I mean, that was one of his best moves out of Hitman. It's safe on block. You do it whenever. It high crush. It wall splats. It's a beautiful move.
And you could go into crouch on block.
And he screams. Like, I mean, come on. It had everything.
And
and it, like you said, with the crouch,
It did chip damage
and it
too.
did really good chip damage. Yeah, so it was perfect.
And then
I think they got rid of it. Yeah. But I think they got rid of it because people were complaining that they could not down one Lee players who were in the know. Because he had two choices. He had that, and then if someone was really saucy, they would do Hitman up 4-4 and get all of that crazy dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that used to happen in season 1, because they took that away now too. And they said, I will give you +5 on block. But Lee's in a scenario where I have +5 on block and I have no way to do a legitimate mix-up.
Yeah.
So the +5 on block really doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, because it's basically a can setup, right?
Right. It helps me get in. So now I'm in. All right, what am I going to do now? I'm going to do down 4-1 and give up my turn. So,
like, what I started doing too?
I understand.
It's mad risky to do this, but this is what they want to use. Sometimes when I was kind of ballsy and I felt like you was in stand there, I'll do Hitman up 4-4 on block, and right after that I'll do instant running 3-4 to try to keep you. But that's mad risky because most people, they'll just walk. And they'll just walk and launch because Hitman. Running 3-4 is linear. That's another thing too. A lot of these plus frame moves are mad linear, like 4-4-2. Sidestep, running 3-4, sidestep. And then another thing that makes Hitman underwhelming is that most of Lee's moves gain more plus frames only when you go into Hitman, right? So when he goes into Hitman, there's not much he can do besides Hitman 1-1 and 1+2 to get you to stand still. That's about it.
I'll tell you something. I thought Hitman 4 was going to have a just frame because it didn't knock down anymore. And it just hit you unless it was on counter hit. I actually thought there was going to be something to that when I first started messing with that. That just wasn't in the movie. I was like, there has to be something to this because I know, what was it, Dragunov? There's a couple characters where they have sweeps where if they hit you, they can do something else and it turns into stuff. And so I was like, maybe that's what's happening with Lee. He's going to do some wushu stuff out of the sweep and it's going to be crazy. And we'll be like, oh, this is great. Now people will be worried and they'll be like, I need to duck because otherwise this sweep is going to do like 30 damage. Yeah. But, I was wrong. And it's +4 on hit. Only thing I do out of that is I slide or I do infinite kicks because, a fast slide, that damage piles up.
Yeah, if you do it
and
a lot.
For some reason, I've been doing slide into throw because I don't have anything else to do at +5s. So, it's just, the game still, it hasn't gotten away from the fact that if you play with Lee, you have to really think all the time. And that can get really exhausting when you play against characters where the players don't have to think.
Yeah.
When the game does the thinking for you and you're playing a character that has to think all the time, that can get really tricky, especially in tournaments.
Yeah, especially if you fight like a Lydia. Lydia players don't think. They just put you in a casino and that's game, or Huaran or Victor. Any of those characters. Yeah. So Lee suffers from that, man. It's just whack that people could literally play. I can guess whatever I want because if I duck and you hit me with a mid, it's not gonna hurt. But if I block that low, you dying. Right. Oh, if I just happen to sidewalk, oh, it whiffed. I launched you. Oh, I got hit with a homie move. Oh, 1+2 does 20 damage. Who cares, right? Like, I'll just keep sidestepping and see what happens.
Keep sidestepping. Yeah. And like you said with Lydia, the can mix-ups are so strong, you could ask the player, what are you going to do next? And the player's like, I don't know. I don't have to look at the screen. I can just do this.
Yeah, she
And
plays
stuff
for
will
you.
happen. Yeah. So I understand.
Yeah, so that's my main issue with Lee is that he don't got nothing scary on offense, and then on defense there's nothing scary because the life bar is too big. So if I hit you on counter hit, they nerf
Right.
back to misstep, bro. I don't know if you know that. It only does 2 damage now.
I saw.
So you have to do
I
back
saw.
2-4-3, and that combo's stiff because you have to bound early. If there's no wall there, you have to bound early
Right.
or spend your heat to get them to the wall. So it's
Right.
whatever, man. I hope they fix Lee, man. And
Mhm.
the last thing too, for the chat too, man. Anybody that wants to ask Travis any questions, you could super chat, become a member, and you can ask him a question, man. So this is gonna be the last part of the interview, and yeah, just ask him a question or any questions y'all want to ask. We'll wait like 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, if that's cool with you, Travis,
Okay.
to get some
That
questions
is
in.
cool with me.
We have a lot of people watching too. This is like 75 people watching right here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. See?
yeah, almost 2 in the morning
That,
too, and there's a lot of people here. So 84
listen,
actually now.
well,
84.
I'm talking to the Guinness World Record holder. So, I mean, come on. Come on. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just want to tell you I appreciate you for everything, man. Because like I said, man, nobody was helping me back then in Tekken 5. I had like nobody was helping people. Plus nobody knew Lee, and like you and the whole Tekken Saibatsu Lee forums, like it was very helpful for me. Asking you questions. Every time I ask you a question, you always like, okay, this is this. You could do this setup. This is the frames on that. Like you were just all good with that. You always like help me. Because honestly, back
Yeah.
then it was like survival of the fittest. Ain't nobody want to help nobody.
You're right. I mean, you wanted your trick to make it to a tournament. So I completely understand that. But with us, we were a family. Like we're all we had. We were fighting against all these other players that had, they had characters that apparently Namco cared about. And so we were trying to get it in, man. And it was great because we were all celebrating whenever any of us would make it in a tournament. When we started making top 10, it was like, oh, this is crazy. We're in here, when we would all see each other at tournaments, that was always fun because then it's just lead mirror matches where we're like, oh, okay, it's fun. It really proves nothing, but we all have fun just looking at all our different stuff that everybody's doing because everybody had different play styles back then too, which was crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, expression was really good. So it was a fun time. I hope that we can get less system mechanics and get back to more of the characters doing the work one day because
Yeah.
I understand the flash, I understand what it does for the audience, and that's cool. But the closer it is to a real fight where players are playing chess with one another, I think the happier we'll be with the game.
Yeah, because
So
it's too much guessing right now. And like I said too
it is.
before, I miss when Tekken was about character identity. Everybody had specific things. Because what attracted me to Lee
Right.
was he was the only character with the big boy wall carry. He was extremely fast. He had the 14 frame hop kick, the
Yes.
Magic 4. Now everybody
Yes.
can wall carry. Everybody got counter hit
Yes.
launches. We got 3 characters
Yeah.
with slides now. It's like one of those
Yep.
things. Everybody's the same, man, and it's boring when everything is the same.
And all I'm trying to do is sidestep to your right and hit you with the Osaka Street Cutter. Like when it's all said and done, that's my favorite thing in the whole game to do is his right side throw and go ahead and catch him one time. We're developing all these setups. We're having to do all this stuff, and they make it hard for me to just run over there and stun somebody. That's all
Yeah.
I want to do. That's it. Just can a brother get a stunner every now and then? That's all I want.
All right, so we got a super chatter, and it's from Corey Jackson, and he asks, "Yo, Trav,
Okay.
what anime you like if you watch anime?"
Corey, man, appreciate you. Great question. So I watch a lot of old anime because I grew up back in the Akira era. My first anime that I watched was actually Project Echo, Blue Side versus Gray Side. I watched both that and the one when they were at the school fighting. It was crazy. I grew up on Ninja Scrolls. Um, Fun fact, a friend of mine, she started our anime club at our college while we were there, freshmen. So she got the school to pay for us to watch anime for 4 years.
Oh wow.
She's amazing. Yeah, so she set up whole charter and everything. So we used to meet every week, and they would actually give us money to be able to go buy new anime and buy and discuss it. So we're talking like Dominion City Tank Police, all the old stuff. My favorite anime though, just to get back to your question, is Green Legend Ran.
I never heard of that one. That one sound crazy. Green Legend Rank. Which one is that one?
So Green Legend Ran is it's post-apocalyptic. Everybody's kind of in the desert, and you have these maidens which can, if they get to a certain place, they can provide water, which is really lacking in the world right now. And so what makes Green Legend Ran so interesting is you have this little boy. He has no powers at all, and he's basically going up against the entire government to make sure that this girl can get to where she can provide water to everybody because the government's trying to kidnap them so that way they can control the water supply. There are no powers. He's literally sneaking around Metal Gear Solid style
Oh wow,
through
that's on
tanks and
fire.
all this other stuff. Yeah, yeah. And it's very engaging. And it's my favorite anime. Favorite anime. Um, but I like all the other stuff. Street Fighter animated series. Um, I've watched quite a bit. We watched all of Dragon Ball again for people when we were in college, all the way through, just to catch people up that weren't into anime. And so, but that's my favorite. Green Legend Ran. It's crazy because it's just peak human. You got this kid who's like, you know what, I'm gonna save this girl, and you're like, he's really gonna do it. This is crazy. Sneaking around tanks.
I was gonna ask
So
about that anime. Is it a OVA or is it a series?
it's an OVA.
Oh, is it just one
One
shot?
shot, one shot deal. You watch it and you come away going, wow.
I'm gonna look that up because I'm always interested in watching like super old school, like cool ham stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because I prefer the
Oh
old school. I
man.
like some of the new school animes, like I like Spy Family, I like
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man. I like some of the new
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
stuff like that sound cool. That sound like something I'll tune in. So let me see. Anybody else got any questions? This is the end of the interview. Anybody want to super chat, become a member, ask a question? You can ask Travis anything y'all want, as long as it's not no troll
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'll even answer troll stuff. Sometimes I'm
Yeah,
good.
he even answer troll stuff. He's down for it. You see, so somebody said Hajima no Ippo is peak.
I like Hajime no Ippo. It's good. I like it. Um, I like. I'm trying to think as far as sports wise, because I haven't watched a lot of anime recently. I've unfortunately been working a whole lot.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Um, trying to think, what's the last thing I saw? Oh, I think the last thing I actually saw, and this shows you how long I've been out of the game, was I caught Dragon Ball Super, and I know that was what 7 years ago, 7, 8, a long time ago. It's tough
Somebody,
out here, man.
so a guy named Cell asked, "Does Travis have a Twitter? Somebody wants to follow you. Where can people follow you at?"
Hey, listen, I appreciate you. So my Twitter is Lee Van Dam 2K, and with my Instagram, it is the Mistrap Movement, which is a company that I built because I want to help video game players be able to do more. So some of the things that we're going to be doing is uh, we're going to be doing like outside of the game life coaching. We're going to be helping a lot of video game players get to more tournaments. So my wife and I and my family, we've been buying spots so that way we can help with lodging. So like with going to Evo, we actually got a few spots now to where we can help people have lodging for a really good price, so more people can travel to Evo and be able to attend the tournaments because it can be tough to overcome how much it costs to get there. And we want to be able to help change that. And then, when people start winning, help advise them so that way you can make things run a little bit longer. Because we're all contractors. You're self-employed. And so there are things that you got to do to make sure Uncle Sam's happy with you.
Makes
And
sense.
so
Yeah.
we want to help educate more people with that. So that way, what you win and what you're doing can last even longer. Because that's hard. In America, that's hard because
Yeah.
people will take your money real quick if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, word. So that's
And so,
that's what's up that you doing that. I didn't even know you was in that, man. That's what's up, man. Because a lot of these dudes, man, they kind of just playing
mhm,
without thinking, man, and then they
right,
end up with nothing once it's all said and done, man. And that's a sad way to go.
it's tough. It's real tough. So we're wanting to fix that. The launch for a lot of things is going to be later this year and next year, but we're doing big things. We're looking at an investment club, just lots of stuff to where real life can be better. Because part of the mistrap movement is we want people to be able to live like Lee Chaolan. Because if you think about it, he's a well-adjusted person in Tekken. He's
Yeah,
probably the most well-adjusted person because he's a businessman. He's not fighting for any reason, but just decides to be good and beat up his brother. He has no other reason to be in Tekken. He don't
yeah,
care about none of this stuff.
yeah.
He
Word.
goes and lives his regular life, runs his companies, enjoys life to the fullest because he has stages. They come to his pool to fight, and we want more people to be like that. He actually matches a lot of characters I play, though. If you think about Lee, in Street Fighter, I play Ken Masters. In SN Games, I play Robert Garcia. In Virtual Fighter, I play Jackie Bryant. All of them are businessmen. All of them are doing Jeet Kune Do or some kind of modified karate. All of them live a good life, and they don't need the tournament to make the tournament doesn't make or break any of the characters that I play. Which, you know, it's crazy that I was drawn to that archetype, but it's shown to be what I like, and so I want everybody to be able to live a better life that way, and I do think it's possible.
That's what's up, man. That's really cool, man. For sure, for sure. Because I
Yeah.
like a lot of gamers. It's rough for a lot of gamers out there. So that's really dope that you're doing that. We got another super chat. Beowulf asks, "What rank are you in Tekken? And do you think the boycott for Tekken was justified?" That's a good question.
That is a good question. Okay, so I haven't really played rank online, so I stopped at Kenshin or whatever in the blue because I just started working. Um, the boycott in Tekken is an interesting thing because with how business works, you have two options. You can not give a business money, and then they're either going to ask you what's wrong, or if they don't need to, they'll just stop the product and move on with their life.
Yeah,
So the consumer loses when you boycott and you don't have a focus. A lot of times with games though, you're always play testing a game. So we talked about this on Twitter a little bit, where when developers make a change, they need data to either support the change or prove to them that the change was wrong. So you actually do a better service by playing the game and exploiting the changes than by not playing the game at all. Because if you don't play the game at all, there's no incentive to really adjust things in the favor of the players. They'll just change something else and hope you like it.
yeah,
And they don't have any data to support it. So it doesn't really matter. Nobody's playing. I can patch the game to do whatever I want.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
then,
That's what they
it's
did.
just what it is. Right. But if you have legitimate data, and especially because they're able to drill down to the move itself, if they have legitimate data and they find out a move that they adjusted is useless because nobody uses it anymore, then they're more likely to visit it again than if everybody just stops playing the game because they already got our money. We paid for the game already.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing they're not getting now is our time. And if that means they need to move on from Tekken because nobody wants to give their time anymore, we lose. They may not be happy that they don't get to make Tekken anymore, but we ultimately lose because it's a product that we want to do well, and we run the risk of not getting it. So from the business side, a boycott is rarely a bad idea. It's rarely a good idea unless you're willing for that company to go out of business altogether and you have an alternative product that you'd rather use anyways, because those are the two things you need for a boycott to be successful.
Yeah.
Is you don't care if that business fails and you have something else that'll replace it.
There you go. That was really smart. That's what I thought too. I mean, like if nobody plays the game, what's the point of like coming out with updates and nobody's playing it, right? But
Right.
a lot of people are still not playing the game. So apparently the next patch is the last patch for the year. So hopefully they do something, to make the game more defensive. Because the last patch didn't really
Okay.
do anything besides just make it so you could sidestep heat bursts. That's about it.
Okay.
And then the patch before that increased the health and lower chip damage. That's about it. So it's
Yeah.
small, small, small.
I I like the health increase as the beginning of something, because it's closer to Tekken 4, how we had large health bars. So you didn't lose right away,
Yeah.
but you've got to balance that with giving people opportunities to use their health as part of the game. So hopefully they're going to work on that. And that can become a good part of the chess game if you can make use of the extra life. So we'll see how that works out. You know.
All right, guys, this was a good one, man. I want to tell you, Travis, thank you so much. This was a great interview. You got to talk about all types of different stuff and Lee in general. I feel like the Lee community should appreciate somebody like you because you were like one of the first real Lee players, man, that came out with real Lee tech. You've been playing for a long time. You've been around since the beginning of the dark ages of esports to what esports is
Yeah.
now, since the
Yeah.
arcade era till the online era, which we are now, that there's no arcade. So I feel like more people should appreciate people like you, because since I got a platform now, I want to showcase more guys like you that was around when we didn't have nothing. We didn't have no streaming. We had, I think, what was it with YouTube? Google TV, and then YouTube had like a
Google
different name.
TV, and
So
you had phone cameras.
that's about it. Yeah, we didn't really have anything like that, so we had to really really like study stuff to get information.
Yeah,
But luckily we
you're
had
right.
stuff like Tekken Saibatsu, where we could talk to OGs like you that been around in the
Yeah.
game and really study the game, and can help new guys like me and other people that played back then. Because I think that's the issue with gaming now, is that besides YouTube, there's not a lot of there's no forums or nothing. You can't really ask for
You're
people
right.
for help unless you watch a YouTube video that's like a guide that helps, or
Yeah.
if you go on the stream and try to talk to a streamer for you to help you. But I think stuff like forums was good because you could directly just post, and it was a whole community of people that just wanted to get better at the game. Because now everything's affected by clout. People want to be, clout. People want to get famous over social media. Back then, people just loved
Right.
the game because we wasn't getting money for playing Tekken. We just liked to
That's
play
right.
it, and we liked the competition. We love the competition. So yeah, I just
You're,
wanted
you're
to
right.
showcase you, and yeah, man, you tell people where to follow you at, and all that stuff. Word.
Well, I really appreciate you. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure on my end to be a part of this. You can follow me on Twitter. I said Lee Van Dam 2K on Twitter, on Instagram, on the Mistrap Movement. Right now, I'm mainly doing a lot of local events promotion, and I do have Lee on there. And anybody that wants to join the movement, just let me know, because my goal is I want to be able to start helping to sponsor a team. Um, Eventually, that's my thing, and I really love it. I had a fun story for you. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Final Round 13 when Nia Nin came for Tekken 6 that first time?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, of course, I was there. Yeah, I remember that. That was
Yeah,
2009, right?
yeah, yeah. So what a lot of people don't know, and it's really funny, is I flew them there. So we would have Koreans playing Tekken.
Really? You was
So
the one
that's
that you was the one that flew them there?
yes, and so that was a lot of
Wow,
fun.
that's
And
crazy,
so,
bro.
but it changed our lives because we actually were able to pick their brain and adjust how we played Tekken, and it was really cool. So I theoretically won because I flew them there, and they gave me the money back after the tournament was over.
Oh
But
wow, I didn't even know that because I was wondering how they
yeah,
got. That was the first time they came to
yes,
America, so I was wondering how the
yeah,
hell did
yeah,
they get there. I didn't know was that you
yeah,
sponsored them. That's a W,
yeah.
bro. Cause
Shimlock, yeah, yeah. Shimlock thought it would be a great idea because he was like, yeah, what if we could get the Koreans over here, because we haven't really been able to see Korean versus USA Tekken, and I was on board with this. So yeah, we flew him over here. It's funny because it was Nin's birthday, so we all went out and had a good time, and it's crazy. But being able to play with them, that's how I learned. That's how I learned how to play better Tekken. That's how we learned the three pillars of how they have movement, defense, and then attack in that order.
yeah,
That's when I learned that, was playing with them, and in the room after the tournament. And it was crazy how much dedication they had to the game when you saw the book that Nin had with all the moves in there, because Mike ATL, he has a similar book, and it was based on King. So he has everything written out of every move in the game. all the punishes, and he would just carry that Bible around. So he knew that's how Mike was so good, is he just knew everything. And after a while, it just, it became you can't do anything that would surprise him. And that's why men were so good, is that studying there was crazy. And then Nee came up and was like, "All right, well, I'm just going to become the face of Tekken," and and here we are. But yeah, it's fun. So I thought that'd be a fun story to just talk about, because it was really great to have them there. Poke Chop did amazing because he was third at that, and it was a wild time back then. So crazy. So.
That was crazy because that literally was the first time they came to America, and then after that they just kept coming back.
I know, yeah.
So that's crazy that you was the first dude to help them get over here. Like, I feel like more people need to know that, bro, because that's like after that they literally started coming all the time, and that's literally the first time Koreans ever came over here, bro. And you know what I'm saying? That was a big deal. That's why I took my bus. I took a bus straight to ATL when I heard fucking Nee was going over there. I said, what?
Right.
Like, huh?
Yeah.
I want to play them.
It was great. Yeah. So yeah, it was really successful. Everything was great. I'm really happy that I was able to be a part of that. But yeah, so I figured that'd be a fun story, to tell everybody, because I don't talk about it a lot, but it was, it's something that's very interesting. So apparently I've been sponsoring people for a long time.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. So what I'm gonna do is you could message me all your socials, and I'm gonna put it in the description and everything, so people can start following you and follow your ltrav movement and all of that. It was a pleasure, man. This was a really good interview. I appreciate you, man. And yeah, any last words for everybody?
Like I said, I'm really, really grateful that I'm really grateful I was in a position to be able to help you, because it has really been amazing to watch you take everything, run with it, and really be inspiring to inspire so many people to want to work hard and be successful, because you were grinding it out. Like, there's a lot of buses that come with all those trophies that you got. There's a lot going on, and so I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I couldn't sing your praises enough of how well you've been doing and continue to do. And it always makes me happy that you continue to put in the work, and that it's showing itself to be good for you. And so, besides that, I really think that most people in life, you can outwork your problems. And so when things are going a little awry, just be sure to stop, pray, and look at what you can change. Because the environment may not be able to change, but you can change. And I think if people are dedicated to that, and they're dedicated to the work, they'll always be able to do great things. And I expect that from everybody. So.
That was great words, man. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you a lot, man. And I just want to tell everybody there was a lot of people here, man. There was like 80 something people watching. So you got a lot of eyes on you for sure, man. A lot of people in here. Wow. Yeah, so man. So I want to appreciate you. Thank you, man. And for everybody, thanks for watching. And I will see you on the next episode. I have another guest coming up. I'm not gonna tell you guys who he is, but he's also old school, and he's a ex-Evo champion. So that's one of the.
I'll tune in for that one.
So that's one of the next guests coming up. So yeah, guys, I hope everybody has a good night, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace out, take care, and laters.
God bless y'all. Take care.